minutes because it was 4:44, and I thought, oh, you know what? Why not? Might as well make a wish, wishing for peace, wishing for the end of all war, and don't care how they do it, but got some ideas and like to share those ideas with people on live and talk to people who come on to the live. So looking forward to meeting some more cool people, especially fairy people. Met a really good girl, mermaid girl, earlier who makes me want to go live again just to talk to her some more because we were talking when the last one got to an hour long, and so we had to time it out. I'm not going to do an hour this time. If I do more than 10 minutes, it'll be a few minutes more than 10 minutes. But I really should be going to sleep. So by 5 o'clock in the morning, I should be asleep. So anyway, did want to go live though, just one more time and say, welcome fairies, welcome everybody, welcome TikTok refugees, and we'll be rescuing TikTok from being captured. Since TikTok got captured by the bad guys, we will be rescuing TikTok soon, and maybe rescuing YouTube as well, because YouTube's been having problems for some time, and it'd be great to overthrow the people who run YouTube and replace them with some good people instead. So, looking forward to that. Thinking about this all in the context of this Mamdani interview I heard earlier, where he said, um, he mentioned being the opener to the opener, the opening act to the opening act to the opening act to the opening act to the opening act in a show, and how his rapper career isn't what made him famous. Being the mayor of New York City, hopefully, in a month with all of our help, is what's making him really famous. But he was a rapper, and it made me think about the people who supported him in his rap career, the people who were fans of his rap music, and made me think about how, yeah, Foxen doesn't have a lot of fans, but the fans we do have are cool. Like, you gotta be cool to like our music. So it's cool to have cool people who are fans that you can still talk to because you're not busy being the mayor or whatever. It's cool to be at this stage of things, and cool to think about this stage of things growing into a much greater stage of things. And like when you're falling in love, and it's just something amazing at the beginning, but it's small compared to what it becomes. So it makes me think about how there's all this power in the people at the beginning, and how those people are really important, necessary, crucial, um, and that the number of people grows into a lot more people. Like, that's natural, and that can happen sometimes by leaps and bounds. But the way it starts is with the people who can appreciate you, even at the beginning, even before you become the mayor, even before your band gets famous. So people always wanted, or I remember people always wanting to be like that. Always wanting to say, oh, I listened to this band before they got famous. Before I listened to this band because I could appreciate, their sound, their talent. Um, I could appreciate their message and stuff before everyone else was told, this is who you should like. And I think the same thing applies for Mamdani as a rapper and Mamdani as the mayor. And I think the same thing applies for me and Fox and our band, and me with this, small audience YouTube channel, and me in the future if I have a large audience YouTube channel, or if I have, if people know the band, if people have heard the music, or even if the band is always obscure, if Foxen is always an obscure band, but I go on to do something else that people know me for, then it'll still make it special for all the people who supported Foxen, who knew and liked Foxen before I became known for whatever it is, even if that's just this. But I also think that we're at the beginning of a new era for YouTube, with them capturing TikTok until we rescue TikTok. Then they're going to drive people to YouTube, and we're going to get a lot of cool people. A lot of the same things they're afraid of TikTok for is just the people, the messages, the content. And when we start getting that on other platforms, they're going to realize, blocking it on YouTube is going to kind of backfire on them because it's going to spread it to other places. It's going to evolve, and it's going to like set a spark or get other places to evolve. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to do my part here on YouTube since I'm not on TikTok anymore. But I also think there's going to be a lot of people who aren't on TikTok anymore because of the capture of TikTok by the bad guys. And I do think we should get TikTok back. We should plan on getting TikTok back. But I wouldn't be surprised, or at least if a significant focus of the people who used to be on TikTok does shift to YouTube or other platforms. But again, wherever it shifts to is going to change those places as well. So will backfire on the bad guys for kidnapping, for all their kidnappings, including their kidnapping capture of TikTok. But yeah, these guys are really bad kidnappers. I mean, they're good at kidnapping, but they're really they really have a lot of bad kidnapping tendencies. They really do a lot of different types of bad kidnapping. So, really looking forward to stopping them. But I am glad we stopped or hopefully we've stopped the war in Gaza, the genocide in Gaza, and that's something to celebrate. I know it hasn't been that celebratory. Well, I've been having my type of celebration has been having great conversations with people on the lives. So I feel like I definitely kind of made a party of it, but I didn't put on any special hats or anything. So maybe tomorrow night to celebrate even more progress in the ending of the genocide. Hopefully hear stories about like food getting in or something soon. But anyway, it's going to be a lot more to focus on. But of course, the nature of people's focus is going to change somewhat, and people are going to feel good about talking about all sorts of things. I think because the they reached a peace deal, which makes it takes the pressure off everyone feeling no, we have to do this until they actually stop the war. Well, there's stuff we have to do now that they've stopped the war, but I think people will feel comfortable talking about a lot more stuff than a lot of people. A lot of people feel like this is really all we have time to talk about, the only thing we can focus on. And thanks to them, we've managed to stop it now. It would have been better again to have stopped it some years ago. In fact, the very best, I think, is if Biden had stopped it and won in a landslide. And it's terrible that he didn't stop it 2 years ago to save all the people that have been killed in those last 2 years and everything else. It's terrible he didn't stop it for that reason, but it's also terrible he didn't stop it to keep Trump from winning the election or from taking power. So that was terrible. And then it's terrible he didn't stop it because, it was going to stop eventually, or they prolonged it in order to get Trump elected and to give Trump credit. And so it is kind of terrible that they stopped it in a way that gives Trump credit. But that's kind of the third layer of it being, they should have stopped it 2 years ago. They should have stopped it 2 years ago to avoid all the 2 years of killing and stuff. They should have stopped it 2 years ago to stop Trump from taking over in America to win the election in a landslide. And they should have stopped it 2 years ago to keep Trump from getting credit for stopping it. But either way, it's good that they stopped it. It's good that they are stopping it. And I think the most of the credit for that belongs to all the people who are speaking out against it all this time, especially when you're speaking out not only, in the absence of these journalists speaking out, we're speaking out, instead of them. And we don't have their types of resources and stuff like this to support our stuff. I mean, not like what we're saying is not supported, but we don't have the type of journalism and stuff that people often have, or almost every other situation have. We just have, what we can find out and what we can pass along. But we did that, we did what we could with what we had. And, um, most of us, and I was calling out the genocide on October 7th, like that night. I was in a big argument with my coworker about it. But, most of us have been calling it out for this entire time. And it's going to be worse once they finally once they stop not only the food blockade, but the information blockade. It's going to be way worse than people have been saying. And that's going to be a real shock, wake up call to a lot more people, even though a lot of people have been recently woken up to a lot of cruel and terrible realities by what's going on. So, this is the beginning of a new phase of it, but hopefully the end of this extreme genocide phase. And I do think we should give credit to everybody who's involved, including these leaders who should have stopped it earlier, could have stopped it earlier, slash, made it worse to begin with, are the ones who benefited from it. We should still give them credit for stopping it, but especially the ones who benefited from it the most, who do include Trump and Netanyahu. We should still be holding them accountable for what they did, not praising them for stopping it. It's like the only things Trump ever does that are any good are stop things that he did. The only time he ever does anything that's like good is when he reverses something bad he did, or when he's like undoes or undercuts or only half does something bad. That's the only good stuff he ever does. And this falls into that category too. I mean, he was the one promoting this war all these months. Yeah, Biden was the one promoting it before that. And if he'd stopped promoting it, he would have won the election, or Kamala would have. But they traded that landslide they would have had for a genocide. Because this is how they lost, or the main thing they did to lose. Because people were that aware of it in America. People were aware enough of how bad it was last year and the year before. Like, not everybody. I mean, obviously, more people have woken up to it recently. But enough of us were, plenty of us were, enough of us to change the election. And they knew that, which is why I think between that and the fact that they didn't arrest Trump in the first place when Biden was in power, and the fact when he got immunity, he didn't do something to arrest Trump. That he wasn't trying to stop him, that they were, and that they kind of played along with this genocide thing in order to get Trump elected. And to me, that's just despicable and wrong. And they were, partly accurately warning us about the dangers of, fascism, authoritarianism, the end of democracy. They were using some of that language, but they weren't acting like they were actually the ones who were trying to stop the end of democracy. They were just reminding us all to be really scared or whatever. So, or if they, again, if they wanted to stop Trump winning, all they really had to do was stop the war in Gaza. And they would have saved so many lives and so much destruction if they stopped it 2 years ago. And they would have saved our country from being taken over by Trump, because they would have won the election. And they would have avoided the situation we are in now, where, yes, they stopped the war, presumably, hopefully, but Trump gets credit for it, which is weird. It's weird to get Trump credit for it when he's kind of one of the main causes of it. I would say Netanyahu is one of the other main causes of it, and I never put anything past Putin. Putin's probably one of the main causes. Anyway, I don't know how I got so much off on this tangent, but I've gone 15 minutes, which is probably long enough to do a live highlight, which is one thing I was hoping to get out of this. We'll see. They might not highlight anything since there wasn't a whole lot of engagement this time. But if you are here, nice to meet you, or nice to see you again. I'm Puffin. Go ahead and drop a like or a comment if you like. Otherwise, I probably will shut it down pretty soon because I've been going live a lot tonight and should probably go to sleep instead. But it's nice to meet you. Welcome to the Fairy Liberation Front, Pillow Revolution, and probably the most revolutionary channel on YouTube. So I can't really see how anybody else could be more revolutionary. Just anti-patriarchy, anti-Trump, anti-Putin and Netanyahu, anti-tyrant. But also have really good plans for replacing them. Not my plan, but there's this Jesus plan, the Church of Judas, that replaces all Christianity, really. And by replacing all Christianity and all Christian churches, by repurposing all Christian churches, they also end empire and war and patriarchy and capitalism and Trumpism. So that is kind of the big plan. Then my versions of it are the things I've always talked about. The pillow revolution we can do from bed on our phones, and the Peace Pipe Party, which is about like herbal nature and herbal medicine and peace as the main priorities, are enough to reorient our political systems. And then the Fairy Liberation Front, which is all fairy stuff. And all fairies are welcome, including TikTok, the Machine Man of Oz, our old friend. I'll show you a picture of TikTok in a second once I get this cat fur. In case you have not been to my live before, there's TikTok. And I'll probably shut the live down and we'll come back live tomorrow night. I hope you have a great night and talk to you soon.